Welcome to Showcase of Churches, where I interview pastors who tell me about their churches. We have such a variety of churches we can attend or that we can even see online. Today my guest is Pastor Steve Myall, who is the pastor of the Woodland, Washington Solid Rock Christian Church. At the end of the program, we will show an information page where you can note their location and contact information. And we'll leave it up long enough for you to record the information. Welcome to Showcase of Churches, Pastor Steve, and thank you for joining us today.
It's good to be here.
Good. How long has Solid Rock Christian Church been in Woodland, Washington?
It's been here for 3 years.
Okay.
It was established 3 years ago. Pastor Bob Surfing and a group of people got together and started this congregation. Went from his home to a community center, and now they are meeting in a Seventh-day Adventist church in Woodland.
Okay. And I understand that's near the Oak Tree Restaurant, if people wonder which church that is.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to miss. It's on exit 21 on I-5, and it's on the same side of the street as Oak Tree Restaurant. It's about 2 blocks north of there. 1300 Atlantic Street is the address.
Oh, good. And then what time are your Sunday services?
We meet Sunday at 10:30. We do have a prayer time at 10 o'clock before we get started if people would like to be involved with that.
Okay, and you last till noon, or how late?
Roughly, yeah, we try to wrap things up about noon, just depending on what might be happening.
Okay.
Things happen, and we go with that.
Good. Go with the flow, huh? Okay, and
Yeah.
do you have a parking lot and a wheelchair ramp?
Yes, they have actually it's a drive. You can drive your car up the ramp, and the front door
Okay.
will drop you off at the front door, and then the person can drive their car down. And there's handicap parking right there as well.
Well, good. Are you near a bus line?
No, we're not
Okay.
near a bus line. Woodland's kind of halfway between Vancouver and Longview area, so it's not as a big area.
Okay. Well, about how many people attend your church, say, on a Sunday morning?
Well, it's been about 30 or so. Just depends. Vacation times, etc. Makes a difference. People in Alaska for a month or so. Some people do that. So it's about 30 at this particular point in time.
Good. All right. And besides the Sunday morning meeting, do you have any other meetings like during the week, a Wednesday, or do you have a monthly meeting, anything like that?
Yeah, we typically will, in the fall, once school's back in, we'll start Bible studies for men and for women. We do have prayer meetings that go on as well. This summer, we've chosen to do prayer meetings. So we're doing that on Wednesday nights.
Okay. What time does that start if somebody wanted to show up?
That starts at 5:30.
Okay.
Goes from 5:30 to 6:30.
Okay. All right. Well, many people are watching services online, so if people want to watch your service, we will post the link at the end of the show on our information page so they can see that. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Is there
Yes.
children's church?
Yes, there is. My wife, Lori, started a group. She calls them King's Kids. And the studies that they've been going through is on the fruit of the Spirit, and it's more personal application for the kids so they can see what kindness is, and they can display it. And if they kind of mess up that way, they can give examples and show how to work things through.
Okay.
So that's something that she's been working on. She's worked with children for 17 years.
Oh, good. And she probably sees what they need, and some of those basic things like kindness and manners of kind of starting to roll away from our society.
Love, peace. Yeah.
Okay. So then they're not so much Bible stories, but just practical things that kids can use. That's good.
Yeah, but they do some drawings, and they do some interactive things as well. So it's not just teaching that way. So they get to apply it, look at it from different angles.
That's very good. Very good. And it develops their artistic abilities too, which is good. All right. Now,
Correct.
Tell me about your worship service. What instruments? Are the songs hymns or contemporaries? How would you describe it?
Well, Well, I have a lady that Eileen, and she's been leading uh, worship. She was leading when I got there here last year, and her philosophy is have fun, number one. And so she loves hymns, so
Hmm.
she's more apt to use more hymns than myself. Although I make sure that there is at least one hymn in the set that I put in. We're right now we're guitar based because of our size.
Okay.
Ideally, we'd like to expand with piano. We have a piano and get drums, bass guitar, etc. into the band. That's something that we have goals for. We have multiple people that sing as well, so it's mainly
Okay.
having fun and singing until you feel the Holy Spirit fill the room is kind of what we're after, and He does do that.
Good.
So it
Good.
makes it interesting.
Good. Well, and I noticed something different. I saw you had a child playing with you. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, yeah. Maddie's 12. He wanted to play guitar. He didn't pester me, but well, it was just he wanted to learn how to play, and so we found him a guitar that's suitable for his size, and I've been teaching him guitar chords, and so we've just decided it's best to put the chord sheets that we use in front of him, and he works on those. He gets chord sheets ahead of time, and he works on the songs, and then he practices with us, and so it's if he keeps practicing, he'll grow.
Right.
He'll learn it. I've had experience doing that in the past with children, and they become tremendous musicians. So
Hmm.
that's our goal.
Well, that's good. And that's one of the benefits, I think, of a smaller church like that is you can actually use a youth in the worship team, where some of the bigger churches might
Yeah,
not be able to do that. And that's wonderful that you're kind of mentoring him in music too. And it's also, I think it's exciting that having fun is part of your goal. So I like that.
yes,
Okay, do you have any
yes.
special events like outings or birthdays or field trips or anything, potlucks,
Uh,
birthdays?
yeah, we have a pot. We call them pot blessings. The first of the month, typically we have them. Um, of course, there's things that come up. You got Labor Day coming up, and that's typically a weekend that people will do vacations and whatnot. But with first of the month, first Sunday of the month, we have after service, we have what's called a pot blessing, and the food's just tremendous, of course, and
Hmm.
the price is right.
Right.
So if you just come, you get to eat, and the fellowship's good in that regard. And we do have events that we do. We just got done with family camp and a number of people went out to Beaver Bay out off the Lewis River Road to go camping for a few days. Um, some of us went up last month on a train out of Kelso, Washington, and then rode the train up to Centralia, spent the day up in Centralia. We have plans next month to go to the Kite Festival out at Long Beach. So those are things that we do, and then we have some other things on the agenda down the road that we're going to do in that respect.
Good.
Creates an atmosphere of fellowship, you know, and relationships.
Good. And I understand you went to Centralia and did shopping in antique stores, and somebody bought a cement chicken or something like that.
45-pound cement chicken, yeah. And yes, she did. And what was the name of that store? It was, can't remember now. We're
No.
making fun of the name. That's why I can't remember exactly
Okay.
what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Shady Lady is what she called.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it's called the Shady Lady.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we changed the words to mean other things just for fun.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's good. Now,
Yeah.
do you usually carpool when you go these places, or do you take a van, or how do individuals just drive themselves? How do they get to some of these places? Like when you go to the kite festival, or
Well, most of the people, because we actually live in Longview,
uh
so
huh.
the people for that will come up to our house, and then we'll carpool. Like I've got a pickup truck it's a crew cab, so we'll fill that up full of people,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, some people will probably commute from the church in Woodland for
Mm-hmm.
that, and we meet here, and then we'll all take off together to head out to Long Beach.
Okay. Good. Good. And then you said you might do a sandcastle. There's a sandcastle thing up there also, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm not quite I'm sorry, I don't have the details on that, but that's been discussed as well. So I'm not sure if that's already happened. That may have already
Okay.
happened.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why I'm kind of,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And I understand it was kind of blistering hot during your family camp this year?
I think I would say 95. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
probably a little bit warm.
I would say 95.
Yeah. But
Yeah, and you look at the average temperature this type of year is supposed to be 70,
mm,
and it was 95. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But you had swimming, didn't you? I mean, wasn't there water or something?
yeah. It was the lake. I forget the name of the lake up there. I can't remember. Anyway, but yeah, the lake was wonderful. I would say that once you got in the water, it was spectacular, actually. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's nice that you have all these activities, and especially I think you have a lot of seniors in your group, and sometimes they just don't get out for those things, or don't have people to go with. So I think that's a nice thing that you do things like that together. So, all
yeah.
right.
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah.
So that's how you serve your church. How about in your local community, like Planners Day and some of the other things?
I didn't even know what Planners Day was. We've been here about a year. I didn't know what it was, and so I had to go online to figure out what it was. And then Pastor Bob, his heart was to do something in the community in terms of Planners Day, and so we threw it out to the church, and kind of a committee was formed to build a float, of all things. And so we built this float. This guy had a large trailer, and we built a float on it, and then towed it and put it in the parade at Planners Day. And we won 3 trophies, and one was for the best float of the year. And they probably put, I don't know, 3 weeks of work in that thing,
Wow.
but it was spectacular
Yeah.
what they
Wow.
put together. We had music. I was playing the guitar, and Eileen was playing her guitar, and we were singing songs as the float was going down the road. And kids had bubble machines that were making bubbles, and we had people walking beside the uh, the float, and they were handing out candy to different people, and we had banners that just said Solid Rock Christian Church on it, and so it was a way of getting our name out there in the community. And then we also had a booth out, and we were handing out little St. John Bible, because we always tell people to read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I always point people to is the book of St. John. So I think we handed out 250 of those and just gave them away.
Good.
Gave them to people. Said, if you know somebody that needs them, here, have them. Take them with you. And then we ended up praying for a lot of people and sharing the Lord with people. And then I got a call last week from one of the other pastors in town, and we're going to get together and talk about how to affect our community. I've been involved in the past with recovery groups. So I've worked with people in addiction, and worked with homeless people and things like that. So we're seeing how we can make an impact in the Woodland area.
Good. Good. Yeah, and I think you told me you had a man struggling with alcoholism once, and he had shared his testimony, and that encouraged other people.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. I've had people that have had heroin addiction issues, and
mm,
people that have had methamphetamines, and yeah, we worked with people like that, and it was a Celebrate Recovery. So it's a 12-step group,
good.
and it was very effective. Teach people how to work the steps, and very effective.
Good. Good. Well, that's what we like to see, that people are being helped. So,
Yeah.
do you have a vision for Solid Rock Christian Church?
Well, I think mainly is people to encounter the Lord. The Holy Spirit is the key thing for me, is that when a person walks in church, um, do they encounter the Lord? Do they encounter his presence? And the words of the songs that we sing um, they actually transcend earthly, and they bring you into a position where you can feel his presence. And I've seen grown men breaking down and crying when the Holy Spirit touches them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people just it gives them hope, because he's our hope. He's our joy. And so our goal basically is, when we gather, is to sing until that happens, till that um, manifestation happens. And then all of a sudden, his voice is heard, and the praise is just something that's indescribable in earthly terms, but it's something that's happened. It's what won me to Christ. It's what draws people with the Holy Spirit, that draws people
Right.
to Himself, that makes them see that there's a different way that they can walk, a different way that they can live. And it gives them strength, it gives them courage, and it gives them the help that they need to deal with issues that they might have in life.
Good, good. Yeah, and I think you've shared that too. After that time, a lot of times you have testimonies. You know, people will come up and share.
Yeah, that happened 2 weeks ago. Something happened, and the speaker couldn't be there. And I felt led of the Lord just to leave the service open for people to share. And there was no need. The sermon was the people getting up and sharing testimonies or prayer concerns or things like that. And so, again, I had a friend from to come to visit that day, and he was in tears. He was just in tears. So, and by the time it was done, it was about noon. It was time to go home. And I remember one lady saying to me, "Pastor, do you know how rare this is to have a service open like this?" And I know it's true. I know that what she said is true, but we're small. I don't know what would happen if we became 300 or something like that. But I think the main thing is to let the Holy Spirit, and God does talk to people. You know, He does lead them to say certain things, and it's spectacular. In my view, probably the best service that we've had.
Well, and I know too, besides that, which is a great thing, but I enjoyed the sharing of the man who had lost his wife and had planted a flower that he didn't want to, and then now that reminds him, and it's a pleasant memory. That was such a sweet story, I thought.
Yeah, yes, yeah, and there's people have, you know, everybody when you're when you become a Christian, you become born again, that you have a testimony and you have a relationship, and you know he's alters lives, and he's a what a difference he's made in my life, and I know he's made a difference in the people that attend. So that's why we're there is him. You know, it's really why we're there. Yes, the fellowship's good too, but we're there for him.
Good, good. Yeah. Well, and I know when I got saved, somebody had brought me, I had prayed, I was at a park, and he says, "Oh, is there even a God? You know, I'm not sure. Is there a God?" Well, then right after that, people showed up at my house, which is kind of a funny coincidence, huh? You know, and then they had this literature and tracts. Well, then somebody gave me a book of John, and I read it all night. I stayed up the whole night and read it. And then next morning, I knew what I wanted to do, you know, no doubt in my mind. So it is interesting. So anyway, is there anything we haven't covered that you might like to share with our viewers?
Well, I believe that God, you know, when I came to the Lord, as a God led me to Christ, and one of the things that He said was, pray that you find a church, you know, and I was like 23, so that was at least a few years ago. But He said, pray that you find a church that preaches the Bible, you know. And I'd heard about this church through a couple of friends. And so we went to that particular assembly, and we met with another lady that said, we got to find a church. So and that church was a place where they allowed the Holy Spirit to be involved in the services. They made room for the manifestation of the Spirit, as the Bible calls it. And so when my sister-in-law came to the Lord, that's the first thing we told her also, was that to find a church. And she lived in Spokane. We lived up in the Snoqualmie Valley. So they were able to find an assembly, a family that they could join in with and participate in. And they stayed there for many, many, many years. So that's kind of the thing I always encourage people to do. And the search is an interesting search. It's educational. You know, I've been to Catholic assemblies, I've been to Methodists, been to Lutherans, and so every place is quite unique. And I think that God has a place for people where they can participate in the church. And you know, as much as I like, you know, it's convenient to watch, and I do watch online TV. I watch online church sometimes, but there's something about sitting next to somebody and contributing, or sitting at you can't be at a potluck online,
Right.
so doesn't taste quite as good.
Yeah.
So it's fun, and there's a lot of laughter, and there's a lot of spontaneity and things like that that happen in a gathering that will impact you, and it's a place where we get fed.
Right.
It's a place that we get mentored. It's a place that we get discipled. Those are all things that God's asked us
Well,
to
and
be a part of
the
and to
support from
cooperate
one
with.
another. You know, the support. Yeah. Well, I also
Absolutely,
saw a couple old ladies.
absolutely. You know, we have.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we get people that we give them. Sometimes people need food or they're
Mm-hmm.
going through a hard time, and people send them um, cards, and there's prayers that are going out for people. We have a prayer chain that we use, and people can contact us, and we'd be glad to pray for you. And so these are all things that are meaningful things for us as we go through life. Kids get hurt, or somebody's going through a cancer issue or health issues, and we try to support each other in that way.
Good. Good. And I know one of the ones I checked on your service, you had a couple of elder women dancing, and they were just having a great time. So people can dance at your church
Yeah.
too, right?
Well, yeah, there was a song I sang. It's in it. It's an up-tempo song, and it has the words dancing in it. And so next thing you know, I'm looking up, and these two senior ladies, one's in her 80s, and I think the other one's, yeah, she's well into her 70s. But to see them both clasping hands and dancing, they came in the side aisle, they came down through the front, and then they started dancing toward the back of the congregation, and they're just full of joy. I mean, that's just it. And it was more like skipping. It wasn't like
Right.
they went yeah, it was more of that nature. But yeah, I've seen that numerous times, and it's always a joy. It's just spilling out. They're just full of joy. It's all it is.
Good.
So it's a celebration.
Yeah, well,
It's fun.
sounds like if people want to dance, they want to go to potlucks, they want to go on field trips, and be in the presence of the Holy Spirit, that they might like to come to your church. So some people feel like they need to be invited. So Pastor Myall, would you look at our viewers and invite them to your church?
Yeah. Well, if you don't have a church, and I know it's in the Woodland area, I know it's a bit of a challenge. I have a guy who comes down from Castle Rock. That's a bit of a drive, but to be involved locally. It's always good to find some place locally to go, and you're welcome to come. And it's a very warm place. People are very kind. There's some sweet little old people sometimes that will meet you at the door, and with the kindness of God and the heart of the Lord, and kingdom affection, I guess is what you call it. But you're welcome to come. We'll reach out as best we can, and hopefully make you feel comfortable and not make you nervous. But it does take some doing to get involved in the church, and I recognize that, because but that's how you got to start out. Just got to start out that way, and hopefully you'll come see us, 1300 Atlantic Avenue in Woodland, in the Seventh-day Adventist building there, and we start at 10:30. We'd love to have you.
All right. So thank you, Pastor Myall, for joining us. I know your schedule's busy, so we appreciate your time. And now we will post an information page that will show how you can contact Solid Rock Christian Church in Woodland, and then the website, and also how you can get on to see their online services on Sunday. So thank you for joining us, viewers. And if you missed any part of this, it'll also be on my YouTube channel, Lucie Met Production. And if you Google Lucie Met Production YouTube, this interview will come up again. So thank you for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.